Part of promoting a positive learning environment is ensuring that the caregivers understand their responsibilities. So we're going to go over those right now before you start your reading. The caregivers are the front line in providing positive interactions for the children. They have many roles and responsibilities. We want to make sure that you and any other director is giving the caregivers excellent training and supporting their experience so that they will be able to provide the most appropriate childcare to the children. The caregiver is responsible for the safety and security of the children when they're at the facility or when they're on a field trip. We've got to make sure that they understand and can follow the state laws, child care licensing, health department, and fire department pertaining to the operation of your program. We've got to make sure that they provide an adequate educational program to help the children's intellectual, physical, social, and emotional needs. In addition to that, they, of course, have to guide behavior and redirect as needed while providing a clean facility and a physical environment that the children can feel comfortable in. We've got to make sure that the teachers attend to the children in a positive way and maintain appropriate ratios. The last part of their job is, of course, making sure that the parents feel welcomed and that there is open communication between the parent and the caregivers.
Hello, I'm Sarah Norris with Total Child Care Center in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we're going to talk about what the duties of a daycare teacher are. They are very varied duties for a child care teacher. She's going to do everything from teaching ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to changing diapers sometimes. Your day is very busy and you will accomplish many tasks as it goes on. Most teachers are required to take care of their classroom, the things within that classroom. Number one, of course, is taking care of the children and providing for their needs and being sure that they are safe and taken care of every minute of the day, inside and out. You would also be responsible for probably making lesson plans or at least carrying out those lesson plans if you are in a room that you are helping another teacher. You'd be responsible for helping with the daily schedule and being sure that you're on task and keeping the children abreast of what's going on. You'd be responsible for any emergencies that would happen within that classroom. And you should be trained and know how to handle those emergencies and what the policies of your particular facility are. You would be responsible possibly for transporting children if you're going on a field trip or if you're involved in an after-school program, or you would be responsible for being the driver or the person on the bus taking care of the children while the driver's driving. You are responsible for being sure the children eat well, that they get their medicine on time if that is appropriate, that they are drinking enough water, that they have sunscreen on. Numerous activities during the day that involve taking care of children, just as you would in the home, but you have to remember that you're taking care of more than one child. So these are some of the duties of a child care teacher that we've listed this afternoon. I hope this will help you decide if you want to go into the field of child care.
So that video is just one that you can share with your teachers, with your caregivers, and helps you, if you're new to this role, know what kinds of things to explain to new employees. Okay. So the caregiver has to implement all kinds of activities based on the developmental needs of the children in their program. as stated in the video. So there are 4 different realms of development that are generally spoken about. And the first one, and the easiest one for people to recognize, is, of course, physical development. An effective caregiver needs to understand how the children grow and develop. And in this case, we're talking about their physical development, the progression of skills and abilities that is measured in stages and generally goes in a predictable sequence. So if we're looking at this, we're looking at how can the caregiver support physical development. So we've got a couple of examples here. You probably know of 50 other ways to support physical development. Making sure that infants have time for tummy time and that they have places to pull up, they have objects to reach for and grab, that toddlers can knock over towers and build towers, that they can push cars, and that they can draw with chalk and paint. And with the preschoolers, of course, we've got their strong need to climb and to kick and to throw that we need to support. This is all based on the changing needs of the bones, the muscles, the internal organs, the brain. Everything is going to be changing. This also is going to improve their gross motor skills, their fine motor skills as they move forward. The next realm of development that our caregivers need to know about is, of course, the intellectual development. What's going on under their hair, as they say. So all of the different things that are happening inside the brain, language acquisition, learning to recognize what is familiar, what is unfamiliar, categorizing things, memorizing things. Their memory is developing, they're perceiving new things, they're problem solving, they're making decisions, they're imagining. So we need to support their cognitive development in all of the different developmental ages. So whether that is reading books to the children, playing games with the children, having them help with the preparing of snack, all of that is going to help the child with their cognitive development or intellectual development. The emotional development is, of course, highly connected to the cognitive development, and it is helping the child learn to regulate their emotions, recognize their emotions, and a big part of that is having them co-regulate with the teachers so that if the child is wound up, the teacher needs to stay calm because that emotion will help the child to calm down. So as we're working on this, it is in the infant classroom, using a soothing voice when the child is upset, acknowledging them when they cry, even if you can't get to them physically immediately, saying their name, expressing that you understand that they're mad or hurt or frustrated, and continuing to talk to them and support them. In the toddler classroom, part of what we do to support their emotional development is give them those power words like no and stop and mine, because they understand that things are theirs. They think many more things are theirs than actually are, but we need to give them the words that they can use and give them opportunities to create and explore, like this little guy here is. We help them identify love, hate, happiness, anger, jealousy, fear, frustration. So all of that is part of what the caregiver does and part of what we do as the director. Sometimes we have to co-regulate with our staff. They're having a hard time identifying their emotions and regulating their emotions, so we have to help them identify and regulate their emotions by co-regulating with them. Just because we're adults doesn't mean that we know how to identify and express our emotions. So that is part of our job as the director. When we're working with the children, we have to be aware that emotions play a vital role in personality development, and they learn how to express their emotions either healthily or unhealthily based on their interactions with parents, caregivers, and siblings. So we have to help them with that, give them healthy ways to let go of emotions that are changing their behavior in a way that perhaps we do not appreciate. The last of the areas that we're going to talk about is their social development, helping the children learn how to interact with other children, how to interact with the adults in their environment. And they're going to learn this primarily by observing the adults and their peers. So we want to make sure that we are supporting that development. When a child first comes to your program, they may not have experience playing with age mates, playing with other children who are at the same place developmentally as they are. And so learning how to do that is a big part of what we do in early childhood education. So being a teacher is one of the hardest jobs when it comes to seeing children in conflict. There's a whole bunch that the teacher has to do of troubleshooting social conflict. It's not the most fun part, but it is a huge part because those children are learning how to regulate, how to interact with other people in conflict, in joyous times throughout the day. And that is a big part of what we do here. So, in addition to knowing what happens with typically developing children, we also need to help our teachers know what to do when there are children in your program who develop differently. Those who have special needs, those who are gifted and talented, those who have some sort of deficit. So we need to support them in that. If they think they have a child in their program with some delay or gift, we need to help them find ways to support that child's development as well. If there is a child with a diagnosis, then we work on creating an IEP, an individual education plan, with the parents and the medical professionals to support that child's development. If they do not have a diagnosis, then we simply work within our team and perhaps bring in outside experts to support the school in providing appropriate care for that child. So, thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope that you learned a little something about what our role is in supporting our teachers in this way.